Some 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by ocean. For centuries, that part of the planet has been a place of mystery and fear, something that has continued to this day. Though it has gone from sailors heading into the unknown on a voyage they may never return from, to people freaking out when they look at a picture of some deep sea creature like a giant spider crab, giant isopod, some deep sea fish, or playing certain video games. A way to make the fear tangible without venturing out to sea. But that is no fun. I could just sit at home and talk about sea monsters, show footage of some strange deep sea animals, or do a playthrough of Subnautica. But to really explore the fear of the ocean and misconceptions about this place and the creatures of the depths, we need to go out there, dive into the ocean, at night in water around 1,000 meters in depth. Nothing but a little rope keeping me tethered to the surface world, a bit like bait on a fishing line dangling above the open maw of the abyss. What will be waiting for me in this dark void? Monsters of the deep? Alien sea creatures so bizarre they defy the comprehension of the human mind? I'm excited, maybe a little nervous, to find out and show you. Hello again! I will be reacting to another one of Argus's videos. This time I am joined by the wonderful Wildlife Brothers, who are going to help me dissect the top 5 most dangerous sea creatures ever. Do you want to introduce yourselves really quick, or?
Sure. My name's Harrison. And I'm Evan. We are the Wildlife Brothers, so in a similar vein to Ecotasia, we also do wildlife education content, and I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting, based on what I've heard.
Okay, so yeah, let's get this started.
Welcome back to the channel. If you're anything like me, you probably like ocean stuff, I guess. The mystery, the beauty, and of course, the danger. That's right, there are some creatures down there that could seriously mess you up. So today, that's what we're talking about. 5 most dangerous sea creatures of all time. Number 5, lionfish. First, we have the lionfish at number 5. Now, these guys may look like they just walked out of prom at a fancy aquarium, but they pack a potent venom that can cause extreme pain and swelling. So think twice before touching.
So the lionfish.
Interesting pick. I think lionfish are very conspicuous and they're very well known. So I think if you're straddling the line between sea creatures that are actually deadly in terms of their venom toxicity, but also sea creatures that are known for having quite painful venom, I think lionfish fall more squarely into the latter category.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding of lionfish venom is actually that though it is nothing to mess with, it's certainly something that will cause you a lot of pain. It's not typically something that's thought of as severely medically significant without an associated allergic reaction.
Mm-hmm.
There are other fish that come to mind, one notable group being the scorpion fish, which are reputed to have venom that is more toxic drop for drop than lionfish. But like I said, I think it straddles the line between being recognizable and also having a relatively potent venom.
Yeah.
My research basically kind of said like lionfish venom can be dangerous to like very young children, the elderly, and of course people with the associated allergic reaction to the venom. It can cause a bunch of nasty things, but just basic when you get envenomated, vomiting, fever. Mostly you're just going to feel pain, though.
Yeah, their venom, I can't remember the exact composition of it. I forget if it's a neurotoxic poison or neurotoxic venom or if it has other properties, but my understanding is that it's primarily evolved for defense.
Yeah.
So I imagine it probably is just attacking the pain receptors more so than actually causing physical damage, structural damage.
I know
Which makes it a somewhat interesting pick for a deadliest video.
Yeah.
I think it's a
just a defensive.
A consistent theme that I expect to be talking about through this video is straddling the line between danger and deadliness deadliness in this case meaning venom toxicity. I think there is some overlap in the general public between their understanding of what makes something really venomous versus what makes something really dangerous. And I think what we've been lucky enough to understand in our years of working with wildlife is that the Venn diagram between highly venomous animals and animals that are considered highly dangerous don't always overlap as much as you think.
Yeah. I mean, and then the other thing is they are pretty nasty invasive species in the Caribbean and on the Florida coast.
That's true. That's a very good point. They're probably deadlier to their non-native ecosystem than to people. So in that sense, they truly are one of the deadlier creatures of the deep, at least for small Caribbean reef fish.
Number 4, wolf trap anglerfish. Next, we have the wolf trap anglerfish. This fish might look like something straight out of a nightmare, but is actually a real creature that lurks in the deep sea. And with its massive jaws and razor-sharp teeth, it's no wonder it's one of the deadliest creatures in the ocean.
I think we just encountered a very nice example of where something having the potential to be dangerous or perhaps deadly doesn't necessarily overlap with a danger towards humans, only given the fact that these anglerfish are existing at such depth for most of their life cycle.
Those
yeah, you would never reasonably encounter one.
That is impressive.
They're really cool. So they're a really cool fish. They actually, unlike a lot of the other anglerfish, which have the lure coming off the head, the bioluminescent lure is actually inside the mouth.
Oh, wow.
But they're really cool. The other thing is that, so a fish swims in the jaw, and then my understanding is these fish have like some of the weirdest like skull kinetics and fish already have weird skull kinetics. But I'm pretty sure based off of like pictures of specimens and stuff, like they actually like splay out the teeth this way and then they close them down. Like they like rotate the maxilla down to form the cage.
Wow. That's
so like a really cool,
I don't know that
So like a really cool sea creature.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely cool.
I can't say that I've ever seen a photograph of one of these fish.
I don't think I have either.
And then, but of course, this is the big thing that undoes all of this about how dangerous they are. This fish is 3 inches long.
I was gonna say, is it like a lot of other anglerfish? I wonder if I was approaching the criteria the wrong way, because when I hear a list of the top 5 deadliest fish, my first instinct is deadly as it relates to human safety. But I think you could make an argument that deadly in the context of being a really effective predator in their ecosystem, both the lionfish and these anglerfish are better representations of a deadly animal as being very well evolved for their predatory habits.
Yeah, they're really good
rather than being dangerous to people.
Next, we have the wolf trap anglerfish.
I've already watched this. I just wanted to look at that face again because it's a cool face.
3,
Yeah,
deep
really
sea swallower. For number 3, we have the deep sea swallower. This massive fish is a true monster of the deep, with a mouth so big it can swallow prey up to 3 times its own size. So if you see one, just swim the other way.
If you see one of those, your best bet is to swim up.
Yes.
It might bite your finger.
I don't know that those are fully abyssopelagic, meaning living really deep below the abyssal or in the open abyssal zone, which is quite a few thousand meters down, but I do believe that they inhabit depths that are pretty difficult for people to reach, unaided especially.
Yeah. Again, under less than a foot long, but they have that if we go back really quick, they have that insanely distendable stomach.
It is amazing.
That is wild.
You can see the little fish in there. And this is a common adaptation from my understanding of deep sea fish of like eating enormous prey items because you're not going to bump into prey all the time.
Right, absolutely. These habitats are some of the most resource scarce. The intervals between feeding opportunities for some of these fish are extremely long. So you really need to capitalize on any feeding
Yeah.
opportunity that you have. And a distendable stomach like that is a perfect solution, I think.
So, and then they actually got it wrong. They actually undersold this animal. They can eat, the largest recorded thing was 4.5.
Wow. So are they distending their jaw at all to
Yeah, they must be. They must be able to. So the one thing though, is that they are a crazy predator. Like this is a crazy adaptation. But the problem is when you eat prey that big, what's going on is they can't digest it faster than it rots, and so gases start building up, and so this is sort of probably why this fish is so well known for this adaptation, is because then those fish float to the surface and wash up on a beach, and so it's like wow, look at how big prey they're eating. So we might have sort of a bias in the specimen collections of these fish towards like, wow, they're eating things 3 times, 4 times their size instead of the smaller prey they're probably doing.
Oh, that is interesting.
I wonder then if the expansion of the gases that are released, if there's a fish decomposing inside this animal's body and it gets washed up the water column and onto shore, I wonder if the expansion of gases in its stomach chamber would make it look even bigger to someone who sees it on the beach.
That'd be interesting.
Another very cool deep sea fish.
There's so
I'll
many
admit,
cool
not
things.
the list I was expecting for a
not at
video
all.
like this.
Number 2,
But I like it.
the bloop. Coming in at number 2, we have the bloop. This mysterious underwater sound was recorded by the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in 1997 and is still unexplained to this day. But what we do know is that it was louder than a blue whale and was heard over 5,000 kilometers away. So, we might not know what it is, but it's definitely something you don't want to mess with.
You do not want to mess with it because my understanding is that it is not animal-based.
That is correct. My understanding is that it was determined to be ice.
Calving off of a
calving
glacier.
off of a glacier.
It's climate change.
So-
No.
Yeah, literally.
The deadliest sea creature of all is
climate
is
change.
marine climate.
That's what we learned today. So this is like a really weird, interesting story, because it was basically one guy said, well, the sound profile that they flashed up for a second looked biological, and that was the whole thing that everyone that gloms onto this being a sea monster. It's this one guy said, it kind of looks biological. The other thing, which is a fascinating fact that you kind of miss a lot of the times, is the sound recording. If you listen to the bloop sound recording and you look at the information about it, it is multiplied speed by 16 times.
Oh,
So
wow.
like when the one on Noah is like, it's going whoop 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 whoop, and right, that sounds like, oh my, that could be an animal, but really if you slow it back down to its original size, it just sounds like grinding ice.
That makes a lot of sense. I had no idea that the original clip was modified that heavily.
Yeah, so it's just a weird thing that, like, when I noticed that, it's just like, huh? Well, no wonder people think this is like...
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
That,
we're ready
I
for the final of the video.
That's right. The deadliest sea creature of them all.
That's right.
Number 1, the Reaper Leviathan.
Nice.
Finally, at number 1, we have the Reaper Leviathan. This massive 180-foot creature is a true monster of the deep. With teeth as big as a human, giant mandibles able to grab things as large as submarines, and a hunger for anything that gets in its way. So if you see one, just swim the other way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Get in your sea moth and get out.
Just get out of there. I mean, yeah, since I guess since the last one wasn't a living thing, we could why not just put an entirely fictional sea monster?
Absolutely.
If you're gonna pick a fictional sea monster to be the deadliest, the Reaper Leviathan
Is
the
probably a
choice.
pretty good choice.
I would say so. There is nothing like
You have to-
crossing over that sandy plain by the Aurora and hearing the
the
scream
stream
of
for the
the
first
Reaper
time.
Leviathan.
If
Yeah.
that's how you do danger height for the Reaper Leviathan, you just let people hear it roar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, that's how Subnautica pulls it off. Is like all the giant sea monsters you hear before you see,
Mhm.
and you get really nervous.
Oh yeah. And I
Okay.
love the sand tiger shark.
So there you have it.
The most
The
deadly
five
of all
most
sharks.
dangerous
No.
sea creatures of all time. Just remember, when it comes to the ocean, it's always better safe than sorry. So keep your wits about you and make sure to smash that like and subscribe button like a wave hitting a rocky coast.
Make sure to
Ending-
smash the like
ending
button
with
like
an
a Reaper Leviathan grabbing your shit. With that much intensity. Wrap your facial appendages around
your
the subscribe
computer
button
screen. Grip your phone tightly.
and smash the like button.
Actually smash it.
Yeah, so my thoughts are, well, since only one could kill you in certain scenarios, the lionfish being the only animal on there that has any potential of outright killing someone if they meet certain criteria beforehand. I'm not sure if this video can claim title of most deadly sea creatures of all time.
It is more of a parody, I think, with the last two entries, certainly.
There are, if we're talking about all time, there are some extinct species that make the Reaper Leviathan, or at least give the Reaper Leviathan a run for its money. Maybe not in terms of size, but certainly in terms of incredibly scary looking adaptations.
Mhm.
If you look at something like Dunkleosteus, for example, that is one crazy marine creature, and that is one whose jaws are equally scary looking, in my opinion, to the Reaper Leviathan, though it was a real fish. It has been extinct for many millions of years, but they are true, large oceanic predators that you certainly would want to swim the other way from if you were to encounter one alive. But I agree with you, JJ, that this list doesn't seem to meet what it's advertising.
Certainly not.
Mm-hmm. I guess that climate change is dangerous, and if warming in Antarctica caused the ice calving that caused the bloop, I guess maybe the bloop also counts.
That's a fair point. I honestly would say the deadliest phenomenon that was discussed in this video indirectly was the underlying cause of the bloop.
And I would say if you want to make a case about a video that claims to detail the 5 deadliest creatures in the sea, you should provide that context. I think as I said before, just showing the things, it feels like it lacks something for me.
Cool. So, thank you for coming on, and let's go on with the video.
Indeed. Thank you for having us.
Yep.
The ocean is a harsh place, and we are ill-equipped to be out there. The elements are powerful and unforgiving. Even today, ships sink into the crushing abyss after being tossed around like a bath toy. So, in such an alien place full of peril, it is no surprise that people reported sea monsters. Giant serpents as long as ships, turtles the size of islands, fish people, enormous tentacled beasts that could drag whole ships below the waves. A whole menagerie of different strange things people claim to have seen out beyond the horizon. Many giant sea creatures really do ply the waters of the world. Whales nearly 30 meters long, massive squid lurking in the depths, and some huge serpentine fish. So why not let the imagination also conjure some other stuff that could be down there? Maybe the hunk of rotting flesh on the beach is the remains of a giant octopus or a plesiosaur. Why not? I like the idea of sea monsters, but I see them as the incarnation of the raw forces that rule the high seas, that give any captain anxiety, making the dangers more tangible. These tales about the dangers of the open ocean have been common throughout time, and people growing up in cultures where they are told through stories what a horrific and savage place the sea can be, and the violent deaths that might befall them if they were to venture out there, it's no wonder people can easily become fearful of the ocean, a fear known as Thalassaphobia. The ancient Norse had Kraken. The ancient Greeks had Charybdis and Scylla. For us today, we have movies like Jaws and Titanic, or video games like Subnautica, where Let's Players freak out when a Reaper Leviathan grabs their little sub, or come face to face with whatever unspeakable horror below Zero's Chelicerae is. Like, this game's whole thing, besides the environmental theme in the original's plot, is like, what if you're trying to survive in the ocean, but then you bump into giant sea monsters? It's so simple, but super effective. So are the real oceans anything like those of Subnautica? A sea full of gigantic animals out to eat a hapless diver? I could be like, well, science hasn't quite found anything comparable to a monster in Subnautica. Or I could go out there and see for myself. Beyond the relative safety of coastal waters, the open ocean is a realm of wandering predators, like the oceanic whitetip with their entourage of pilotfish and remora, or pods of drifting pilot whales resting after a hunt in the deep. During the day, this is a blue desert. Food is scarce, and these animals must travel great distances in the empty blueness. But as the sun sets, something changes. Planktonic animals chilling in the deep decide to go to the surface to feed on algae for a midnight snack. And hot on their cilia and tails, deep-sea predators rise from the depths in a big nighttime feeding frenzy just below the surface. This phenomenon, the Diel vertical migration, is the largest migration on the planet, even bigger than the migration of retirees to more tropical latitudes as winter sets in across the northern hemisphere, and happens every night. Critical for taking carbon from surface algae into the icy depths of the ocean where it stays so it doesn't float around and do something like warm the planet. Some shallow water predators like manta rays and spinner dolphins take advantage of the biomass coming from the deep, mantas straining zooplankton from the water column, and dolphins heading offshore to pursue squid. So, to see the creatures that rise from the depths as part of the Diel vertical migration, I will be following the spinner dolphins and doing something known as Blackwater Diving. Basically, take a boat offshore and hop in. One of the best Blackwater diving destinations is the Kona coast of Hawaii's Big Island, where just offshore the slopes of Mauna Loa drop precipitously, so not that far out we are hundreds to thousands of meters above the ocean bottom. What is lurking down in the dark? Well, it's time to push away thoughts of giant squids or sharks and just jump in. Appearing out of the darkness is a strange, translucent creature, like some sort of ribbon from a discarded Christmas gift drifting in the depths of the ocean. This is an animal, a kind of comb jelly known as a Venus girdle. Comb jellies, or more appropriately Siphonophores as they are not jellyfish, come in all sorts of transparent body shapes. Some, like the Venus girdle, are ribbon-like cestida. Others, like this gorgeous red species at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, are lobate, with a pair of lobes in front of the animal's mouth. Still more are just sort of round and called citipids, aka sea gooseberries, presumably because some scurvy-stricken sailor was craving fruit when they first saw them. Siphonophores are a bit of a mystery, and it is debated if they, or sponges, are the most distant relative of all other animals. A more distant relative of true jellyfish than the jellyfish are from ourselves, which is weird to think of an animal more different than us than a jellyfish. Another strange translucent creature drifts by, a heteropod. Now, just looking at this organism, you might be wondering what kind of animal this is. No apparent skeleton, a single fin on the back, what might be a tail, whatever this crest thing is. This is one of the strangest looking animals I have ever seen. This is in fact a species of pelagic snail, having essentially lost the shell. The animal swims upside down. This fin is the foot, which more normal snails use to move through their environment. The eyes are here at the base of the proboscis the animal uses to feed, giving rise to the common name of sea elephant. Though this really looks nothing like an elephant to me. Chalk this name up to another drunk sailor. Lurking in the black around me, there are more predators, Siphonophores. There is something entrancing about how they cast their tentacles when feeding.
Hey JJ, we can take it from here.
Sure, go ahead.
So Siphonophores are relatives of jellyfish, sea anemones, and coral, and they share different aspects of their biology with these organisms. Like jellyfish, they're free-moving, but similar to coral, they're actually not an individual animal, but a colony of multiple organisms. While each of the organisms that makes up a siphonophore, called a zooid, is essentially a clone of one another, they develop differently and serve different functions in the colony. Nectophores are medusae, so more of a jellyfish-like organism, and they serve to propel the colony in the water. Gastrozooids are polyps, so more of a sea anemone or coral-type organism, and they have stinging cells that they use to capture prey and feed the colony. Bracts and pneumatophores are involved in flotation and buoyancy of some species, and gonophores are the zooids that are used for reproduction. It's kind of confusing to explain why each of these zooids is a different organism when they're fused with a bunch of clones that make a larger animal and they rely on each other to survive. Which would kind of make zooids more like limbs or organs more so than independent multicellular organisms. But the best way to think about it is it would kind of be like if there were twins, where rather than being identical, one twin serves one function and the other serves a different sort of role in the colony. So while I might have feeding bits, Harrison may have locomotion bits or some other kind of bit that serves the colony. Exactly. You could almost think of it as if Evan were to emerge out of me, but only have arms and legs that help me move around more effectively. That's essentially how siphonophores are functioning. This strange way of life has led to some of the largest creatures of the depths, with some colonies of zooids creating siphonophores that are longer than a blue whale and have tentacles that extend far into the inky waters, hoping to ensnare prey.
Well, thank you for explaining it. I have always been a little confused about how to think about zooids. As I drifted in the water, surrounded by all this strange life few people get to see, I am thankful that I am a giant to these little predators and can really appreciate the elements of these animals that influence some of the Leviathan designs in Subnautica without feeling like prey. I want to be super brief here, but since diving off the coast of Hawaii in thousands of feet of water is like venturing into the void surrounding Subnautica's map, I cannot help but think of the ghost Leviathans that are meant to keep you within the map's boundaries. These giants are like a strange amalgamation and sized up version of many of the creatures I have run into tonight, especially with the translucent body like everything else here has is camouflage in the emptiness of the open ocean. It is like the game designers put together the traits of many of Earth's open sea creatures to create the perfect pelagic sea monster of your nightmares. I especially thought of the almost worm-like ghost Leviathan during my dive when this tiny pelagic polychaete worm decided to come at me, probably just drawn to the lights. Another predator lurking out here reminds me of something from Subnautica's sequel, Below Zero, the arrow worm. With a body plan convergent on a fish, all I think I managed to capture of one is this blurry image where you can see the roughly fish-like appearance. They chase after tiny zooplankton, catching and subduing them in their venomous basket-like jaws. This is almost identical to the horrifying shadow leviathan of Subnautica Below Zero, which too is an animal that quickly slices through the water to catch prey with cage-like legs and bioluminescent mouth. Out of the darkness, another creature materializes, Fisher's Seahorse. Not another alien micromonster of the deep, but a creature many would regard as cute. Not much is known about this mysterious resident only found in the open waters around the Hawaiian Islands. presumably because it seems nature has played a cruel joke on them. What drove a fish that traded all useful swimming adaptations most fish enjoy for a prehensile tail to anchor themselves to seaweed or rocks, and pushed them into the vast emptiness of the open sea, where there is not a single object to hold on to? Yet somehow, here they are, using their one functional fin to slowly swim around. What we do know is during the day they live at about 100 meters beneath the sea. Then, at night, make the arduous journey to the very surface of the ocean to feed on tiny plankton, as, like all the other animals I have met tonight, they are predators, just awkward and seemingly as ill-equipped to be out here as I am. So, I went diving in the open sea at night to meet some nightmare of the deep, and instead bumped into one of the cutest fish in the sea. And maybe, if a fish as slow and defenseless as a pelagic seahorse isn't afraid to charge headfirst into the abyss when weird land creatures interrupt their midnight snack, maybe this is not a world of monsters and unseen horrors, and this can be a place of peace, just drifting in the currents among the Siphonophores.
That was an interesting dive. I made it. I was actually genuinely a little trepidatious. It's a little scary to dive in 5,000 feet of water. When I looked down the first time and realized that there's just nothing, I felt a little afraid. Like, I knew that this was deep water. I mean, it's so deep that it's kind of irrelevant because you can't see the bottom. It's like, it's just, the bottom could be just out of light. Like, it's not I genuinely did not feel disoriented that much, which had been something that I was a little concerned about. I had genuine concerns about, like, disorientation and just being afraid of, would I freak out because, I'm afraid that, like, a giant squid or a shark is gonna pop out of the darkness. It was cool in the fact that, like, you're just sort of drifting along, and then out of the gloom and the darkness, these animals materialize, and they look like alien spaceships. And they're small, they're just cool looking, and it's really cool. I definitely want to get back in the water and do another Blackwater dive. Need to kind of, I think, get more experience as a diver before that happens again, but that was so cool. That was really neat.
But there is trouble in the deep. This world of sea creatures is far more threatened by humans than any potential sea monster could pose us. The sea is full of plastic, which can reach even the depths of the deepest trenches. A bunch of the atmospheric CO2 we keep burning gets absorbed by the ocean, causing the seas to become more acidic, which is especially bad for pelagic snails. And then you got people now mining in the deep sea, drilling into hydrothermal vents for rare metals, messing up those ecosystems and endangering the poor sea pangolin snails. Like somehow, even the deep sea is now getting messed up by people looking for profits. This is bad, and... Wait, I think someone is at the door. Let me go see who it is.
I am the last straw, and I'm here to debate your soggy paper straw liberal agenda.
Okay.
Nobody wants your straws that dissolve while they drink. Straws should not be wet.
I wasn't going to single out straws.
The bans on plastic straws are ridiculous and based on something an actual child made up. And this hurts hard-working straw manufacturers and people with disabilities.
I think we should encourage children to do work like what Milo Crest did. A 9-year-old basically shaped an entire environmental movement. Though yeah, it's probably not very accurate, so really should be a cautionary tale. That if you get it wrong and people listen, they might try to do some symbolic thing that will make them feel better. And so they decide to ban something they probably could live without, but some people actually need, instead of taking a more holistic look at single-use plastics and how they are intertwined with modern society.
And then you whine about deep sea mining, but that's what's supplying all the precious metals that make your beloved solar panels, electric cars, and those bird-killing windmills.
The issue is we cannot just swap out internal combustion engines and fossil fuels with green energy and expect that not to have its own environmental impacts. We need to wean off fossil fuels, but replacing every vehicle with an electric counterpart probably will take more raw materials than exist on Earth. We have to rethink kind of everything, because it is the mindset of endless growth that got us into this mess. Doing this with fossil fuels threw the entire planet out of whack, and we cannot pretend this system will suddenly not be a problem if we start using other raw natural resources. Just making some solar panels or banning straws doesn't fix the root problem of overconsumption. It makes us feel like we did something good, and we don't have to feel guilty. Also, I have had it with all that insincere babble about birds and wind turbines, which kill far less birds than cattle farming, pet cats, and the fossil fuel industry. And like being mildly intelligent in how you implement wind energy, you can mitigate the effects they do have.
But these changes you speak of will destroy the economy and hurt those hard-working cowfolks in the petrochemical sector.
Yes, but if we don't change, then all that, including your precious economy, will be destroyed anyway, along with most of Earth's biodiversity. Like, we need solutions. We can't just hide our heads in the sand forever. Eventually the tide will come in and we will drown. We need to face our problems and make a better world.
Now, about those rising...
Nope, I am not going to continue this bit. I have a video to wrap up and another episode to tease. Anyway, the open sea at night was a really cool place to visit. And on my visit to a place the mind imagines monsters, I found a cute seahorse just drifting in the void. So for those of you terrified of the ocean, I hope this was somewhat therapeutic. Anyway, let me know in the comments how the ocean makes you feel, and if you found this video helpful or informative, or just too much Subnautica. I promise this is the last time I babble about that game. Maybe. Next time. The snapping jaws of death. Are these the teeth of cold-blooded killers? Or is there a softer side to these prehistoric predators?